Welcome back to my latest Q&A. Before I get to the first question, a couple of quick announcements. First up, don't wait for the holiday rush. You have Freakin' Reviews merch available right now. In fact, I just added a Freakin' 2 shirt to the inventory, so be sure to check out the Freakin' store for your Freakin' Reviews merch right now. Second, if you're always wondering why you miss uploads from YouTube, check out freakinreviews.com. It is a hub of all the different kind of content I post in one shot, so you can see anything you might have missed. And number 3, as typical, I always give away memberships during the premiere on YouTube of these Q&As, so be sure to attend one of my premieres and you might win a membership yourself. And with that, let's get to the first question. Ocean Girl 505 says, several years ago you reviewed a pan positively and gave it to your mom who really liked it. Do either of you still use it, and which pan was it? I don't know specifically which pan you're referring to, but that's probably when my mom lived here. It was probably either the Hexclad, the Granite Stone Pro, or the original Granite Rock, which was square. My mom liked the square design of the Granite Rock, but it's hard to find square pans anymore. This person asked, besides that ferrofluid speaker, with what other things have you started the review skeptical but found the object was actually super cool or handy? Now, along those lines, I was kind of skeptical of the Kaleido clock, also the Tidbit, and even the fireplace wax melt warmer. All those items kind of looked almost too good to be true from the advertising. When I got them, they actually lived up to what they were hyping. This person notes that I was from Southern California, which I was, from the Inland Empire, which I was, and wondering what it's like to live out in Las Vegas and if I miss Southern California. You know, I do miss some things about Southern California, especially my friends. I also miss cool summer nights. I miss being close enough to the beach where I could drive there and come back home in the same day. But I never really wanted to go back because I really do like living in Southern Nevada. Nevada isn't the bargain it used to be, but I still enjoy living here. This person wants to know what my favorite way of combating job creator burnout is. Now that is a struggle. Now, if taking a break isn't an option, which it usually isn't, I have a couple different ways to combat burnout. One of them is just to mix things up. Like if I've been posting a lot of long videos, I'll do more shorter ones, or vice versa. Or I might do some vlogs. Sometimes I'll just try buying a new piece of equipment, and that'll make me want to film in order to use it. It's a constant struggle though to avoid burnout. A Slice and a Piece of K wants to know if I pay attention to YouTube analytics. I would say I pay way too much attention to analytics. Not only do I spend way too much time in there, but I also download the data into my spreadsheets and spend extra time there as well. I'm kind of a data stat person, so it's kind of hard for me not to be obsessed with YouTube analytics. This person asked if I thought about reviewing any of the NEC AC fans. I think I've done 4 of them so far. I did the Arctic Air Freedom, I did a Temu and Wish comparison, and my favorite of the bunch, the Coolify 2, which I still use this and enjoy all the time. Because it's not just a cooling fan, but also a warming one as well, so I can use it all year long. Maybe in 2026 I'll review another model, but so far I'm still enjoying the Coolify 2. Stuart wants to know, how long did it take you to establish your YouTube identity? And if I ever tried to build a channel around a different type of video? Well, to answer the second question first, Freakin' Reviews is like my 6th YouTube channel. I tried several different channels before. None of them really worked out too well for me. But to answer your first question, how long it took me to establish my YouTube identity, I mean, I was looking back at my videos. I started my first video and then went every August, because this is in August, since then. Today I'm reviewing a product by the name of Handy Heater. Today I'm doing a product called Atomic Charge Wallet. What's up guys, this is James White with Freakin' Reviews, where I specialize in as seen on TV product reviews, gadgets, and more. Now, what's up everybody, this is James White with Freakin' Reviews, bringing you weird gadgets, product comparisons, and more. Welcome back everybody. Now today I'm taking a look at a product called the Sidetrack. Welcome back everybody. Today I'm taking a look at this Circle water bottle. And I feel like it was probably about 5 years, about 2021, when it was really the person you see now was what I evolved into. Member question here. This person wants to know, as a bald person, what my daily routine is and what products I use. Also, if I plan to use any shaving products, and they also pointed out that my profile picture is a little bit outdated if I'm going to change it. Now, regarding my routine, I just shave my head in the shower and I don't put anything on my head when I'm done. I've reviewed a few shaving products over the years, but I really don't have any plans to do so in the near future. Now, as far as my profile picture goes, I tend to agree it's horribly outdated. Maybe I'll post some options online and have the viewers choose for me, but I certainly need to change it soon. This person wants to know, if I had to choose an era of peak Las Vegas to live in, which would it be? I would go back to the early 1960s when the Rat Pack was performing here, when the mob knew how to treat visitors to Las Vegas. Vegas was still kind of a small-ish destination, but it was growing, and it seemed like kind of an exciting new place to be. Fortunately, I got to see it in the 90s when it kind of had another explosion as well. That was kind of fun, but if I had to go back, early 1960s. Rogue 177 asks if I'm a Beach Boys fan. Why or why not? And what would be my favorite song or album? I'm a huge Beach Boys and Brian Wilson fan. To me, Pet Sounds is their best album, but the Smile follow-up that would never got released until years later as the Smile Sessions, that's a great album too. I read Brian Wilson's autobiography a few years ago. I saw him when he did the 50th anniversary of Pet Sounds. I'm not sure if I really have a favorite song, although Surf's Up, which was on the Smile Sessions, is definitely up there. Orange Beans wants to know, growing up, did you ever listen to funk music groups such as Kool and the Gang, Gap Band, Isley Brothers? I loved and still love funk music. As a kid, I had a Kool and the Gang 8-track tape. I also had a Brothers Johnson album, a Chic album, several Earth, Wind & Fire albums. Later on, I was into Prince and Cameo and Rick James and the Gap Band, the Dazz Band, all those. Not only am I a huge fan of funk music, but that's also a genre where the bass is way out front. Mr. 72 Dolphins wants to know, what is the best television theme song ever made? Clearly subjective here, and let's not count the ones that are using existing songs like CSI. You can't really count those. But it's funny, I just recently went through like a long playlist of all these 70s TV themes, so I'm probably a little bit biased at this moment. My favorite TV show is Taxi. So, I mean, that Bob James kind of Fender Rhodes theme song, I still love that. But I'm also kind of a sucker for those like 70s soft rock theme songs like Chico and the Man, Welcome Back Kotter, Mary Tyler Moore. You gotta shout out Mission Impossible for being in 5/4 time. And in the 90s, I was really a big fan of the original Living Color theme. This member wants to know if I'd be interested in reviewing an air fryer lineup. Now that's definitely a good idea, but most of the air fryers out there now have been out there for a long time, and there's some pretty good comparisons already out there. I'm not really sure what I'd have to offer over those. I'll certainly try new models as they come out, like the Ninja Crispy when it came out not long ago. But as far as a comparison like that goes, probably not in the near future. Top Spin James wants to know what my favorite Tool song is, and my favorite Tool song to play on the bass. I just went through a Vicarious phase recently where I was listening to that nonstop. The Pot and Right in Two are both two big favorites of mine. As far as what to play on the bass, the opening of Schism is my favorite. It's very fun to play. It's very interesting, and the timing is a little bit tricky if you don't pay attention to it, which is part of the fun. And those are some of my favorites, but you can't go wrong with Tool. This person asks, what product that you've reviewed do you think needs just a slight tweak to become a must-have? Now, of the recent products, that I can think of one right away, and that is the Olight O-Station X, which is almost great. It had some flaws, like it was reading too many batteries as bad that weren't. The app wasn't great, and it was kind of overpriced. It seems like all those they could fix, and if they could, it would be a great product. As is, it feels like a prototype not ready for prime time. This person says they have a severe case of Raynaud's disease. What are the best products you found that can help? I wish there was a good solution, but there really isn't. But there's obviously more options when you're at home versus when you're out. When you're at home, I have this warming hand massager that does pretty well. I have some heated mittens I put in the microwave, those help too. But when you're out, it's kind of tough. I mean, even gloves don't really help. They have heated gloves, but a lot of those heat your palm, not your fingertips. I have hand warmers, those kind of have the same problem as well. So it's kind of tough when you're out, and I wish there was more solutions than that. This person wants to know if I follow sports, and if so, what teams do I support? I was a huge sports fan until my 30s, and then I got a job in sports, and suddenly sports felt like work to me, so I wasn't really a big fan anymore. Back in those days, I really followed the Lakers, Packers, and the Mets. It took me many years after that sports job to kind of start getting into sports again, so these days it's really just the Lakers and the Golden Knights. This member asked what products have exceeded expectations and what were extreme disappointments. Now, I've answered similar questions over the years, so I'll answer one as far as just recent products goes. Products that recently exceeded my expectations were the Ferrofluid speaker, I guess it's more of a lamp than a speaker, and the Dream Farm gadget Hulapit. As far as disappointments go, that candy frame was awful. I still have peanuts in there I can't get out. And the Olight O-Station X, which seems like it should have been good, but it wasn't. Rich San Diego 1969 wants to know what my favorite cereal is. I don't eat much cereal these days. When I was a kid, it was Lucky Charms, Captain Crunch Crunch Berries, and Fruit Loops. As an adult, I really don't eat more than a few bowls of cereal a year, but usually it's something healthy and crunchy like Basic 4. James Samuels 1964 says, of all the items I've tested, which have I had the longest and still use today? So I went back and perused my spreadsheet to see of the first 100 reviews, which ones I still use, and a few of them came to mind. The Tack Light and the Tack Light Lantern, both of them still get occasional use. The metal garden hose is still in my backyard, and it still works, believe it or not, and I still occasionally use hot hands in the kitchen. But of those first 100 reviews, the one I use by far the most is the Gotham Steel Pasta Pot, which years later still looks perfect. I mean, this has had a ton of use, and it still works about as well as when I first got it, so it's kind of an underrated product. Not a lot of people really were interested in it, but to me, it's worked great. Shannon Dorr says, as a huge Buster Keaton fan, I was wondering what your favorite Buster Keaton movie is. I just went through the entire DVD collection of all the Buster Keaton shorts. I've watched all of his feature films, but I like his shorts probably a little bit more. My favorite short is probably The Electric House. There's all these crazy inventions, and they seem cool at first, and they don't go so right. I guess that kind of ties into my whole gadget thing. Now, as far as feature films go, I would say Steamboat Bill Jr. That was the first one I ever saw, and still my favorite of his feature films. This person says, I've noticed a lot of your vlogs lately have been negative. Is there something going on? What's made you so negative? You know, I kind of get my sense of humor from my dad. If you ever watched comedian Bill Burr, that's pretty much my dad. Whenever you see me post on a rant of some sort I would never post a fully negative tirade on YouTube. I just wouldn't do that. So it's always going to be kind of steeped in some sort of humor. The problem with my dad and the problem with me is sometimes that you don't know if they're serious or they're joking or it's kind of in between. And usually it's kind of in between. So I might pick a topic to rant about, but there's always a little bit of humor in that for me. So I've gotten a lot of trouble for that gray area of my humor versus ranting, so you're not the first person to notice that. But in short, there's nothing bad going on, and anytime you've seen me posting something negative, it's usually with some sort of humor behind it. This member asked if I ever cook outside, any type of grill, griddle, or smoker. I used to grill outside a lot when my kids were little, but as family and friends have all moved out of town, and it's really just me right now, there's not really no point to grill for one. I guess you could, I just don't really want to. I miss it, but the idea of grilling for myself isn't really that appealing. This person said when they did your vlogs, you often had a bowl of popcorn. Is this one of your favorite go-to snacks? And if so, do you add butter, hot air method, or seasonings? What's my preferred method of making this snack? I was using Orville Redenbacher kernels, but I found that the Jolly Time are a little bit better. And I have some butter seasoning powder and some salt, and that's pretty much it. So it's basically popcorn kernels, oil, and the Stir Crazy, some butter powder seasoning, and some salt, and that's it. Conrad wants to know if there's any special plans when I hit 1 million subscribers. At this rate, I don't think I'm gonna hit 1 million subscribers. At the rate I'm going right now, it would take another 10 years. So, you know, it's just a vanity number anyways. It doesn't really matter to me. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a plaque for it, but I don't think I'm gonna hit 1 million subscribers. And I don't think I want to be doing this 10 years from now, so I don't think I'm ever going to get there. What I am looking forward to is my 10-year anniversary, which is in October 26th. That's something I will do something special for. This person says, as a person that also suffers from severe tinnitus, in what ways have you found that helps with it? Especially at night when trying to sleep, even with a floor fan, it's still deafening to me. I feel your pain. I know exactly how that feels, man. I sympathize. Obviously, white noise is better than dead silence, which dead silence, as you know, is awful. But beyond white noise, there really aren't that many options. The answer you probably don't want to hear is that over time, your brain kind of starts tuning it out. You don't really think about it anymore. I think that's where a lot of the long-term sufferers like me have kind of arrived. Over time, your brain just kind of tunes it out. There are other things you can try. There's something called notch therapy, which I did try. Maybe it helped, I don't know. There's also this one video of a guy, he's like thumping the back of his head. Supposedly that helps too. I would try anything, and hopefully there's some cure down the road. There's been some possible advances, but right now my only advice is that eventually your brain tunes it out, and that's not what you want to hear. This person asked if I still have and use the countertop dishwasher and how do I like it. Now, because I have a full-size dishwasher, I'd never really intended to keep that one long-term, so I gave it away to a viewer locally, and because they didn't have one. And I talked to them about a year later, and they said they still enjoyed it, but I haven't heard from them since then. This person asks, were your kids supportive of your YouTube channel right from the start? Or did they find it embarrassing at the beginning and got supportive as the time passed? I don't think they were embarrassed. And in fact, I think they were just kind of like oblivious to it. Not oblivious, but I don't think they really thought much about it. They were, I would say, somewhere between unfazed and uninterested early on. In fact, back then, the only time they ever really seemed to think about my YouTube channel is when I handed them a camera or told them to be in one of my videos. Otherwise, they didn't seem to think much about it. This person says, have you ever tested a China knockoff product that was better than the original? I can't say I've ever tried one that was better than the original, but I have had some that were as good as the original. Off the top of my head, the grip and flips I still use. I don't know how the original could be any better. It's just one piece of plastic. I remember when I tested a Wish video, the night vision glasses were exactly the same as the originals. Clear TV key antenna, that one was another one that the knockoff was as good as the original. So I guess the rule of thumb is if the original's pretty cheap, it's a pretty low bar for their knockoff to achieve. Well, that's it as far as this Q&A goes. Congratulations on those who won memberships during the premiere. I'll be back in next month with my next Q&A. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.